Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to the first episode of the Podgecast. My name is Josh, um, Podge, because I'm a hodgepodge of a person. I like a bunch of different things, a bunch of random interests, very eclectic when it comes to movie, music, games, media I consume, things I find funny. Um, this is a show about my journey on becoming a content creator. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I've been thinking about it a lot for the last year and a half, 2 years, and I think I'm finally at a point where I can do it and I want to do it. I have the opportunity and the support of my family and my friends, and I think it's time to start doing this. I think it's going to be fun. I hope you guys all enjoy this journey with me and we grow as a community and as a family. I'm doing this not for any sort of financial reason or anything like that. I have a regular 40-hour a week job. So does my wife. I have a daughter. I want to do this because I see a bunch of other content creators that I watch on YouTube who I've taken an inspiration from, and I see people going out there doing the damn thing. And sometimes I look at myself and I wonder, I mean, I've been thinking about doing this for 2 years or so on, or I've been thinking about being a streamer for a long time and I've tried a couple different times and things of that nature and I see people other content creators out there doing it. They just make their videos and they either they edit it or they have editors do it or what have you and they upload them and some people like it, some people don't. Some people watch it, some people don't. And I think I'm emotionally ready for that fear of rejection. And I think it'll be okay because I don't have a need to be liked or be seen or be heard, not like a drive like a typical, I guess, influencer would have someone on, like a TikTok or an Instagram or a Twitter or something like that, very engaged, very influential, as it were. Uh, that's not really what I want. I want to make content because I just I feel like it'll be fulfilling, and I feel again not a desire or a need to be seen or heard, but sometimes being seen and heard is validating, and I think everyone can appreciate that, and I think anyone who's been thinking about being a content creator or starting a YouTube channel or streaming or anything like that, making a podcast, it's a difficult thing to do. It's a very difficult thing sometimes to really work up the energy to get to it and to push forward through those mental barriers and those blocks and to try to do something for you and for potentially dozens or hundreds or thousands of other people. It's a difficult thing to be able to put yourself out there, and I'm hesitant but excited. Cautiously optimistic, I think. Uh, so I think that this show and this journey of being a content creator will be not just fun, but also entertaining and a learning process. And I'm sure it'll go through ups and downs, and I'll treat this almost like a journal or a vlog to a certain extent, I'm sure. But um I've got a desire to do this and a drive to do this and I want to put out content, so that's what I'm gonna do. And it starts here, starts now with me sitting in front of this computer, looking at this giant camera and talking into this microphone on a Tuesday morning here in Florida. Yeah, making this show about being a content creator is going to be fun, and it's going to do a couple of other different things like apply more motivation for me to make content because I can't make a show or a podcast or talk about doing, being a content creator and becoming a content creator or streamer or what have you without actually making content. And so I think one of the biggest benefits of two of the biggest benefits of this show will be the motivation for me to make content, to make the podcast about the making the content. So it kind of feeds itself to a certain extent. It gives me again more motivation to make content, and I want to make different types of content. I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I mean, here I am doing a podcast, audio and visual. So if you're just listening to this at some point, I don't even know where to try to upload this as an audio format. I just have a YouTube channel right now that I'll upload it to, I guess. I'll figure it out. We'll work it out along the way. I want to do a podcast. I want to do YouTube videos. I want to stream games and stuff like that. Another reason I like to call myself Podge is because I like to make little projects. Like this is my Podgecast. And I want to make projects like I want to make YouTube videos on movies, criticisms or critiques or reviews. I have a couple of friends who really like movies, and we have differing opinions sometimes. I'd like to be able to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I could call it, that project would be Podge Watches. Maybe anytime I play video games or stream, I might make a project, Podge plays games, something like that. I could do video game playthroughs, just games I like to play. Maybe upload some videos of me and my buddies playing some games. When I do stream, which I want to try to do more. Maybe just do some stream vods. If anybody out there in any sort of audience is the word I'm looking for, be it on YouTube or some sort of audio platform, or if I'm streaming or something, I'm sure I'll tout this across the different platforms. But I'm interested in playing almost anything, talking about pretty much anything, learning about pretty much anything. I am ADHD and autistic. I have a pretty vast pool of knowledge in terms of just random, weird, esoteric things. People say things while I'm at work or I'm out and about, and I'll just kind of turn to them and say little tidbits of information or what that reminds me of. People say things, and it frequently reminds me of lyrics or movie scripts or scenes and stuff like that. I like to experience new things. I like music as well, as most people do. Again, my taste is very eclectic and can be weird and unusual. So, if you got anything you want to expose me to or me to talk about, any games you want me to play, movies, TV shows you'd like me to watch, just to discuss, even if I'm on stream, we can talk about it then. Hey, I saw this movie that so and so asked me to watch, or watch this a couple episodes of TV show. If you guys think it's cool, we can watch it together. Something. I'd like to make a bunch of different types of videos and content. Another thing I'd like to do is like Podge's POV or point of view is kind of like a hodgepodge, uh, catch-all kind of playlist or channel of me info dumping things I find interesting that I've learned about recently, um, YouTube or TikTok drama. Yeah, I think one of the important things in the beginning is to stick to a schedule and a routine. Consistency is king. I was thinking of, since people want to watch typically entertaining stuff on weekends or later on in the week, Friday or Saturday, uploading some sort of entertainment content, be it again a movie review or critique or a rewatch I haven't seen in a number of years, and I have a different opinion now, or something. TV shows, some video games. I'll release something, and that will give me practice with recording, planning, editing, like the behind the scenes kind of stuff of content creation, the stuff that people I guess don't really think about too much or talk about too much because it's the background stuff. People, I mean, as we as consumers typically only care about the entertaining or the informative stuff, whatever we're going there to actively consume. We don't really necessarily care about editing and planning out and writing scripts or talking points, how videos should look, thumbnails, intros, outros. I'm having to deal with all of that at the moment. It's very difficult trying to come up with something, being creative enough to come up with something that is unique without being at least perceived as annoying or cringy, especially as a 33-year-old male. But I'll find my place, and you all will find it with me. I hope. Even if that place is not on YouTube. I mean, if I try this and it fails, no harm, no foul. I want to try it for a little while. I want to stick to it for a little while. I know these things don't happen quickly. And again, I'm not looking for fame or tons of money or anything like that. If this ever goes anywhere and brings in any sort of money, and like I discussed with my family, it'll be going toward helping out around the house, getting us into a house. That'd be nice. Like to raise my daughter not in an apartment, but it's hard. It's 2024. We're in early April. The housing market is still quite obnoxious. I don't want this to be too short, but I also don't want it to go on too long. I don't want to feel like I'm rambling. Let me go over my notes. This is so, I guess, low key unprofessional, but also therapeutic. Again, no one's good at first. Like when I used to start going to the gym, which I need to go to the gym. I need to start doing that again. But when I used to go to the gym the first time around, my buddy Paul, who you'll hear me talk about frequently and probably even see in some videos, um, he used to tell me everyone starts somewhere. He's a bit of a bodybuilder. I never have been, and I've always been a large individual. But I used to try to go to the gym and I want to work out, but not being strong, even though I was a large person, 6'4", nearly 400 pounds at a certain point in my life. Being a large individual, you'd think you'd be strong, even when I was more in shape. But you know, you go to work out and you realize, oh man, 25-pound dumbbells are actually weighty after you do a couple of reps or a couple of exercises, stuff like that. You realize you're not as strong as you think you are, and not as in shape as you think you are, and it can be embarrassing, or you feel like a sense of shame. And Paul, you gave me a really good piece of advice. Everyone starts somewhere. No one just walks in to the gym and can bench press 220 pounds right off rip. No one just walks into their job and they're just immediately good at what they do, especially if you've never learned it or if you've never done it before. If you don't know something, you don't know something, and that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere. And this is somewhere. This is me starting. This is the Podgecast, Ep.01. Journey to becoming a content creator. So as I address my notes, and you can probably hear the lawn guys outside cutting the lawn. Hopefully it's not crazy loud. I'll have to check the audio. Hopefully I don't have to re-record this, but I've done a little bit of an intro. I talked about who I am and the persona of Podge and why I chose the name and the idea behind the moniker and the versatility of naming conventions and projects. And it's also a little bit of a play on my name, but we'll get to that sometime later. We don't need to get parasocial on the first visit. I've kind of introduced the show and given an explanation of what it will be, and at least the plan for now, what it'll be, and what my motivation is behind it. I've been driven to make content and a need to feel fulfilled, and I think this is something that will definitely help out with that. The making this podcast rather, gives me a reason to make content, another reason to make content, more positive motivation and reinforcement to make content. It gives me, again, practical experience with recording, editing, planning, getting used to sitting in front of a camera, talking to no one at the moment, but again, potentially dozens, hundreds, thousands of individuals. It's very vulnerable, but I need to get used to that. And the only way to get better at anything is practice. Practice makes perfect. It's the only way to get better at something. The only way to do something is just to do it over and over and over again. You're going to fail. You're going to trip up. But everyone starts somewhere. I've discussed, I want to try 2 videos a week. Friday, Saturday, some sort of entertaining content. And then Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, somewhere around there, I'll upload an episode of the Podgecast. I gotta get in the habit of doing that. Upload an episode of the Podgecast where I go through the process, what my idea behind the video was, what the reality of how sitting down and getting the content, be it gaming or making content, whatever, how that goes, how the editing process goes, my issues with learning whatever editing program I decide on for a little while and getting proficient with it. Stop saying I've got to learn how to talk more, talk better, not ramble, kind of keep myself on track. Because again, with the autism and the ADHD, I tend to do so. Doing a test recording earlier today, I stopped mid sentence and just lost the plot. I've talked about the different projects I want to do, the podcast, movies, movie review kind of thing, gaming, um, info dumping, kind of catch all random esoteric videos. Yeah, man, it is very hard to fill time. I'm recording and I'm only at a little under 21 minutes, and I know I'm not going to use this full time, so dead air. Here we go. So the intro, I think, will have to come with time. But the outro. Let's work on an outro. That'll be the. That's another thing I didn't talk about. I need to set realistic and attainable goals. I'm actually going to write that down so I don't forget that. I want to set realistic and attainable goals, small goals, so I get the satisfaction and the reward hit without it feeling insurmountable or too much to overcome or too much to deal with. I don't want to view I don't want to set myself as, oh, I want to have 1 million followers in a year or something, some sort of crazy. Yeah, no, I don't want any of that. I want to keep it realistic, keep it small. I want to start with 2 videos a week. Oh, see, there I go, rambling and lost my plot. The goal for this episode, and that's what I'll do, maybe. If I don't have enough to talk about or enough to fill what I feel like would be adequate time for some sort of podcast or vlog almost at this point, with it being kind of short, I'll set a goal for the episode and we can work on it. And if I don't hit it, anybody who does watch the video or listen to the show or anything can maybe leave a recommendation or a suggestion, some tips. So the goal for this episode is an outro. How are we going to close out the episode and potentially the remainder of the podcast, at least for a while? I think, okay, let's buckle down and see what we can do for an outro. I'm at 25 and change in my recording. So this Podgecast first episode is going to be quite short, but hopefully they get longer and get better, higher quality, more enjoyable, more entertaining, more informative. As long as if people consume the media, they walk away feeling not like they wasted their time. That's good for me. If I can make it feel like, or if I can know that at least when people watch my stuff or listen to my stuff, they don't feel like they've wasted their time, that'll be enough. From this point on, I'd like to stick to a consistent schedule of 2 videos a week. Well, a content video and an episode of the podcast, which will, for the foreseeable future, be in an audio and video format. Probably just audio or video for now, again, until I find how or if some way to put it onto some sort of audio platform. Again, if anybody out there in YouTube land has any suggestions or helpful hints, much appreciated. Comment down below, subscribe, leave a like, tell your friends about the video if you think it's interesting or want to follow the story along, or if anybody you know has been thinking about content creation, maybe send this video or potentially in the future the series of videos to them, and maybe it helps someone else. Maybe they're feeling the same way I'm feeling. Maybe a lot of people do. Maybe me putting it out there helps somebody, even one person, put out some content or something, or help somebody. Yeah, I think that'll do. And I think I've come up with an outro for the episode, potentially for the series. Well, that's about as much of me as any of you can probably handle. That'll do it for this week. If you're not already subscribed, maybe think about subscribing. Leave a like, leave a comment. We'll catch you guys next week. Be safe. Take care.